If you've been following along over the last few weeks, you'll know that there has been a lot of changes from week to week. But after the roof got on, Dwayne, who runs the framing crew, says, well, there might not be as big of advancements or as big of changes because, they're working on kind of smaller stuff. The reason I laugh today is because there are some major changes, including the fact we now have a red barn. Well, we might as well start out here because, my goodness, does this ever look sharp. They have been working hard the last few days you've got the trim around all the doors. Look at how nice that is cut. And then you've got the red, and this is what's going on the ends. And then, we can take a look over here too, around the manure pump room, whatever you want to call it. But my goodness, I think this is the way a barn should look. Like that white and red, it pops, and man, does it ever look nice. So that is definitely a really nice job done. The other big job they got done is one that, from the road or from a long ways away, you can't actually tell it got done, but it was a big job because here you can see all that netting. What it's called is it's a bird screen, and the whole idea is that all those starlings and sparrows and blackbirds and different things like that, this is a very nice environment for birds. Obviously for cows too, but the birds love it because there's lots of feed, there's shelter, there's water, there's warmth, there's out of the wind, it's out of the rain, all of that. But we don't really want them because they could bring disease, they could just make it messy, they could do a whole bunch of stuff. So this bird screen will be really helpful, especially in the summertime when the curtains that are going on in the next few weeks, when they're open, you're not going to have every bird in the county show up and, make themselves at home here. So what they've done is they've put this up here, and they did a nice job putting the trim around and all of that, but that is one of those big ones that I think is really going to help, come summertime when the curtains are wide open. We can still let that fresh air in and not worry about birds pooping everywhere. All right, let's take a look at the ceiling this time. I showed you last time how they were getting the chimneys up and in. Now, I don't know if you can see all those dividers up in between, there's one there, there's another one there, there's one there, there's another one there. Those are all firewalls, and so it's part of the building code to have these basically walls that are going to slow down. If there was ever a fire, the idea is that it would slow down the progress of it through the ceiling by stopping at those. Now, it didn't make complete sense to me, but I know it had to do with how many square feet and all length, so there's a reason that they're in. And then we've got these kind of little attic doors up there. You can see all along there. For me, I can't imagine that down the road I spend a lot of time going up there, but those will be very handy, particularly for the electricians who are looking at doing, running a whole bunch of the wiring through the barn up in the ceiling, so that way if the dynamic guys get the ceiling on, obviously the electricians can still get up and get their work done. Okay, one of the jobs that we, not always, but every once in a while we like to do, particularly on a weekend, is just do a little bit of tidying up. The dynamic guys are great at keeping this place pretty organized, but we figure we can help them every once in a while by just tidying up some of the piles they make and just make their life easier. So, we have brought in reinforcements. Are you guys ready to get to work? All right, you want to climb to the top of the pile? We'll see if you can climb up. And once we are to the top of the pile, then we'll get to work. So we just got to put the wood.
Oh, I'm going to make some music.
Oh, it is like music.
Put this in.
All right. Whoa, what's your name?
I don't know.
Oh, you want this big one too? Oh, we'll have to wait. We'll have to get the top ones off first.
How long is this going to take?
Well, yes, but
It's solid.
if it's solid in, we'll leave them, okay? We'll just get the ones that are easy to get.
Oh!
Well, we might not get a whole lot done, but at least we have fun doing it. All right, let's come into the office area because this is looking pretty fancy. Look at that, it's a real door. We actually have to open up a door. Oh, let's not break anything before we get started. See? Like this is welcome to the barn. That's very cool. And then they've got some windows in. Like basically a lot of this area is getting closed in, which is one of the jobs they wanted to do. With their windows, a few man doors. The overhead doors will still need to get done, but that's a different crew that comes in to do that, and I have no idea when they're coming. I will say they've started putting these windows in, and this is out the office window. I think what I am going to get done though, and this is, I mean, it's my own fault. This is one that I'm, take the blame for, because in the drawings, in the engineered drawings, there's a scale there that says, window type 3, and window type 3 is listed on a later page as these like slider type ones where you've got the vents. The reality is though, is what I think I'm going to do is look at what it's going to take to change these to just straight glass to look out, because from the barn into the office, I'm not going to open the window to get fresh air into the office because it's the barn air. Plus, I just think with screens and all that, there's just more places for dirt and dust and all of that to sit, when all I really want is to be able to sit at the desk, look out, and see what's happening in the barn. So I think what we'll do is see what it takes to get these changed, knowing full well it's my fault and it's going to cost a little extra to do, but in the long run, I think it's going to be the type of window I'd rather have, and especially being in that office and vet room area. It's windows we're looking out all the time, every day, several hours of every day. So let's get it right. Now, so that was on the drawing, and it is one of those reminders of looking at the drawing and paying attention to every detail is pretty important, because that drawing says so much about what you're doing. So that's one of the things I'll take the blame for, and we'll get dealt with. We found kind of the other mistake that got made, and this is a more major one that I wish had gotten solved, basically in the drawings that somebody else noticed. For me, I just didn't even realize what it would take, but obviously it got missed, is this gutter cleaner area. So as you can see, what we've got, I'll show you. Those are kind of formed. These are the holes for where when the manure comes down the scrape alley, it's going to drop in these slots, and then another box scraper is going to come and take it over to the pump. So that's the concept of it. And then we've got a couple of these bigger holes here that, and this is the part that I wish had got caught sooner, was we were going to put the drives for those scrapers, mount them on top of these holes. So then you could just hose it down and it all goes in there and it's kind of half covered. And wouldn't that be nice? We'd seen it at a few places. It was shown off as a pretty nice way to do it. Unfortunately, you know, the company putting in the equipment, they never noticed on the drawing or whatever, realized that like there's a wall right here, which means there's not enough room to mount these and mount them well without having to move this entire wall over. If we move the entire wall over, then we cut down on the space cows have to flow around kind of end alleyways. So we don't want to do that because we don't want to sacrifice that cow flow traffic comfort. That's not something we want to do. So unfortunately, those drives are now going to sit here. And I mean, we made this back alleyway fairly narrow because we didn't, you know, we put the drives here. This is enough for foot traffic, fine. Now these drives are going to sit out here. It's an unfortunate one because I really wish that, you know, the measurements of that had got looked at. And so, I mean, if you're building, what I would suggest is push your suppliers a little harder for drawings to make sure that what you have planned is going to work, because you're bound to get the odd mistake like that. I'm just really hoping that that's the last one we have. Well, as much as I could spend all day just watching them work and checking around what they're doing, we still have work to do in here. So I think today feels like a good day that we better be productive in here with at least a few odd jobs. Starting with, that's Imogene looking at us right now. Imogene, I'm not sure what her trouble is, but she's having a bit of trouble getting up and down in her stall. So what we're gonna do, we'll get this other one up beside her, is we're gonna actually put her in the pen behind me, and that way she's just got a little more space. Now, this is always an adventure. You would think a cow that does this every day, twice a day, would have this figured out, but she's pretty good at making it complicated. Okay, out you go. Now, instead of going straight through the open gate, she's gonna go this way. We're gonna catch her in the alleyway. Come on. You gotta turn around, huh? Come on. Turn around. In you go. There. Tighten up an alley scraper. It's a bit dark and dusty back here, but you better grease up the gutter cleaner too. Oh, sometimes I wonder if the people who build some of these things ever actually went to maintain it. There we go. Little on the feed cart. Well, that's definitely a job that you don't end up very clean after you're done. I feel like I got cobwebs and dust and dirt and everything everywhere. But it also feels like we need a good, solid job. So we're gonna stop for coffee. We like keeping coffee on. It's cold out, so I mean, I like keeping coffee on for them out there, just for something. Although I do say that having a perk of coffee on the entire day means my coffee count over construction has gone from about 2 cups in the morning to 4, 5, 6 or more. So if I get talking too fast as we get towards the end of a video, then you'll know why I did, because I've probably had 6 cups of coffee, and I probably shouldn't have 6 cups of coffee. But when it's on, you gotta have 6 cups of coffee. And then just the one last thing I should show you, will come out of our soon-to-be shop door, is look at this nice timber that has arrived. So we've got some real nice, big, heavy posts. And I mean, I don't know exactly how this is gonna work. Dwayne tried to explain it to me, but my carpentry and visionary skills are not ideal. But those timber frames are going on the front here, just to dress up the front a little bit. We're not gonna put stone, we're not gonna put, you know, anything too fancy, but we thought those posts would kind of dress it up. So, I mean, if you have a look at this, it is definitely coming to look more and more like one heck of a nice barn. And I think by the time I show you what happens in another week, we're gonna have some pretty nice features to add to it too.